Good morning. I want to talk to you about DGP and how to get that completed. I know we kind of messed up on Tuesday, Miss Donham did anyway, and I did not go over the part 2 with you. So I wanted to go ahead and do that with some of you today that did not get that information on Tuesday. So if you look here at the page that was completed on Tuesday, let's take a look at step 2. If you want to take a few minutes to pause this video and copy down the sentence again, and then I'm going to talk you through how we label it because it is quite complex today. Okay, so what you want to do is divide the sentence because there are more than one verb. We have like, we also have think, we also have is. So we need to address subjects that go with some of those verbs. So let's look at the first one. Which subject, who rather, doesn't like experimenting? Well, it's Sophia. So we're going to put an S over Sophia for the simple subject. Then we're going to go ahead and underline Sophia, my best friend, because my best friend is the appositive phrase that tells you more information about Sophia. It specifies who she is, gives you more information, a truer indication of who she is. And so that entire phrase is going to be your complete subject. And then the rest of that clause is going to be your predicate. So do a double underline, doesn't like experimenting with skin exfoliators. Okay? And then in the next part of the sentence, the second half here, it says, I think that it's beneficial. So who thinks that it's beneficial? I. So you're going to put the S over your simple subject, and then the rest of that clause is going to be your predicate. Now you want to go in and identify your direct objects. Again, you're going to read it to yourself and say, Sophia, my best friend, doesn't like what? She doesn't like experimenting. So you're going to put your direct object label over the gerund experimenting because it's acting as the direct object in the sentence. And then you're going to go with down here and ask yourself, I think what? That it's beneficial. So this phrase, not just one word, because that is not enough. It doesn't tell you enough. So you're going to underline the entire phrase. I used dotted lines because I already have all these other lines going on. So that it's beneficial. I labeled it as the direct object and put a dotted line underneath that short phrase. So now that we've identified the direct objects, we're ready to look at those 3 verbs and determine if they're transitive or intransitive. So remember, if we do have direct objects, we have transitive verbs. And so that's why like is transitive, and that's why think is transitive, because they both have direct objects. Now notice the verb is over here is intransitive because is does not have a direct object. It has a predicate adjective, which is beneficial. The adjective in the predicate, remember? So you're going to want to put a PA over beneficial and a VI over is. Moving on to our diagram, I'm going to let you pause the video and take a minute to draw out this diagram. Please use the one on this recording rather than the one that was provided for you on the DGP handout. This one has got one little correction that the original one on the handout does not have. So if you'll go ahead and pause your video and draw your diagram, and then I will join you next with how to diagram the sentence. All right. If you are looking at my screen, you will see that I do have a completed diagram. And let's talk through it, okay? Notice we have a funny line for our verbal because, you know, we always do when we have an infinitive or whether we have a participle or in this case a gerund, we're going to have a funny curving motion going for our verbal. So you want to put experimenting here on this line. So I apologize for my error when I was recording this earlier this morning. I was trying to do the sentence out of the top of my head rather than looking at the paper, and I wrote the wrong word, and I don't have any whiteout, so I just marked through it. So make sure you put experimenting right here on the line to designate that it's a gerund. So looking at the first clause, which you need to remember to put it in brackets for day 3. Remember, we've got to bracket our clauses. We've got to identify the sentence type, you know, whether it's simple, compound, complex, or compound complex. You also need to designate its sentence purpose today, whether it's declarative, interrogative, exclamatory, or imperative. Okay, so after you've done that, you're ready to finish the diagram here. So looking at the first clause, Sophia, my best friend, does not like experimenting with skin exfoliators. Our subject goes first. Our appositive goes in parentheses here on the subject line because remember, friend is restating the subject. And then my best, of course, modifies friend. And then you have your verb, does like. Those were the 2 verbs. Remember, not is not a verb. It needs to go beneath does because it is an adverb. And then when you're finishing diagramming your gerund phrase, you're going to say experimenting, of course, and then your prepositional phrase here, with skin exfoliators. Notice your object of the preposition goes on the main line of your prepositional phrase. Skin modifies exfoliators. Now moving down, you have your conjunction in the middle, joining these 2 clauses, and then you're going to map out or diagram your second clause. I is your subject, think is your verb, and then your direct object, again, is that it is beneficial. Notice that we have it is beneficial up on stilts here. It is your subject here. Is your verb here. And then beneficial is a predicate adjective. And I know that because I slanted my line back towards it. Okay, because beneficial describes it. If you have any questions about the diagram or about anything you're doing today, please email me. I will be on the computer. I can Google Meet with you. I can do whatever you need me to do between now and noon. So please reach out to me if you have any questions.